hurricane on the Bryzos. It's all been ground down to molasses.
Shep was like, what if we just like film the office every day for the next 2 months? I'm like, what? Like we're like working? He's like, yeah. And we'll just like invite a bunch of people over and they can just watch us work. And I was like, what's happening? Like, why would we do that? And I was like, Rachel, we wear like sweatpants every day. Do we have to like try? Like, you get cute? Like, what?
And I was like, you're good with that.
And then all of a sudden we were sitting there and there was cameras everywhere. Welcome to Bryzos. Come on in. This is our humble abode of an office that we recently moved into. I'm director of operations. We have to come up with a game plan. Have my hand in just about anything Shep needs.
Wasn't quite all-nighter, but I got close. What's so annoying though is you look at it and you're like, I don't feel like I got nearly enough done for how long I just sat there and did that.
All I did was change the color
Right?
of that font 100 times.
Fucking bubble.
Chapicky desktop, better than that.
Right. That's f***ing to hear. Right here.
He did like that, probably.
He's got a coupon from 1981. That is one of the best lines in music ever.
What?
Sometimes I give myself the creeps.
Ain't no more pain on the Bryzos.
I am COO.
They dance like dinosaurs.
I think for the time being, we have the ability to go in there and change pricing, maybe like per state.
Yeah. How's it so light?
Here's the short for you.
He's like, I'm gonna get you! Pivot! Pivot!
It's contemplating the age-old question of what hurts more, having a child or getting kicked in the balls?
Oh, Prathamesh Kulkarni, but almost everybody calls me PK. I had the engineering. Large screen or an iPad we can make sure that it's adaptive. This is the first time I'm seeing ceiling fans in the US.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. How do I look? Absolutely.
Obviously, we want the flow to be super, super fluid for people that are like brand new, so that it's just like right there as soon as you open it. I feel like I'm gonna slip out the back of this chair. Capitalism. This bug is gonna make me go crazy. Oh my god, get out of here!
Me and Kelsey were raised probably only like a 10-minute drive that way.
You people.
I feel like we're bonding.
You won't always feel like that.
That was
How he eats
so
pizza.
funny.
Cut!
Bryzos, technically speaking, is an online metals marketplace.
It allows buyers and sellers of any size to have a quick and efficient trading experience.
The best way I can describe it is similar to the way Uber functions. And Bryzos functions in the exact same manner. The buyer places the order, Bryzos sends that out to all of the sellers in the buyer's area and says, here's all the information, here's delivery date, here's what they bought, where it's going to, and we also say, here's the price. And they look at that, and if it's an order they can fill and meet all of those requirements, they click a button and the PO is sent to them automatically. There's nothing out there that exists like this that is literally just kind of dropping POs in your lap.
Bryzos is a technology company focusing on the metals industry.
When you take a little bit of a closer look, it is a small team of people that are revolutionizing the steel industry and doing something that has never really been done before.
It's kind of a wellness marketplace, meaning that for whatever ails you in the metals world, but you have to buy something and you have all these other things to buy, we allow you to hand off the problem or give you a choice of how to maximize your time for overall wellness.
We had learned from trade shows that if people laid eyes on the app and just clicked around in there even for less than a minute, they're like, this thing's pretty cool. So Shep got a light bulb. He's like, we'll just send people safes. And I was like, okay, how the do we do that? And he's like, Amazon. All right, there's 150 safes that'll be here tomorrow. So we instructed them in a packet that showed up with the safe that they had to look up this specific product, which would produce a 4-digit per 100-weight price for that item. And that would be the code to open the safe. And then we coded every single one of these with the price, and then you were getting cash. We had a safe inside of the safe, and then the packet that kind of explained who we were and why you were receiving this. What's a normal, successful marketing campaign? 2 to 4% was like, you did pretty good. We were hitting 68, 70% conversions using these safes. Like, all right, box check.
We need more safes.
Yeah.
When these hit the way they did, it was like, we're on. Like my spinnakers were like filled right up. I was like, great, now we're moving. You know, crack the code, and then Lee goes, they're safes. You get it? So this is us trying to take a user to a first-time buyer. And so to really build trust for real, it's going to be a bit of a thing. And I was sitting there with Lee, and I was like, Lee, I feel like the moment somebody signed up, if they ended up in the chair next to us for 5 minutes, they'd be like, I feel comfortable buying. I think I trust this place. And I just immediately was like, let's bring them into the room. Documentary time. We understand that it is the personal touch that gets people comfortable with their day-to-day tasks and with whom they decide to accept into their workflows. You have a group here that is an extension of you and is going to be transparent and do everything we can to make your life better.
I think that's always really nice, like putting a face to a name. I feel like it does just add another level of trust, understanding that we're not just like a bot or something. We're just here to help make it a lot easier.
This is the product of just 2 months rolling tape. And you've got people who are day in, day out, honing their craft and bringing you this digital solution.
I thought bringing people in here was the best part of it. Because that's always what gets us excited every time we go to a trade show is you watch people react to this. To get feedback from people actually using it every day or that have seen other things out there and just know that this is superior, I think is total game changer. A lot of what we're doing here, we can introduce a community aspect of bringing people together from all walks of life, different sides of the industry, and find a common place that they can all work together.
And then digital cheers.
Just strange work environment.
I don't think about it too much. It makes me claustrophobic.
I know. I hear you.
So what are we doing?
I don't really know, but I think we're gonna go tour some places and hear the beginnings of Bryzos and where it all started. And I'm sure it's gonna be a good time.
Chef, where are we going?
We're going to the beginning, Andrew. We're going to Bell Fountain Cemetery. My great-grandfather is buried there, and the Hickey plot is there. I mean, those that made the cut, of course.
We're going to where it all started and where it eventually will all end.
So we have here the Bell Fountain Cemetery map, which I likened the other day to this is a little bit how I think. We'll get there, but it could be a winding road. All right, so Joseph F. Hickey was the first, I guess. He's actually from Ohio, and opportunity just sort of brought him here. So he's buried, I guess I'm standing on him right now. And he had a daughter, son, and they each married. So he married Beulah. So Beulah is like where they say the Hickey build comes from. They're like, Beulah's built like a brick shit house. So Myron married Melissa McKay and had 3 kids, one of which was my dad. So they had 2 girls and a boy. So my dad's here, Joseph Franklin Hickey II. And then Judy's there and Sissy's down there. So this is kind of it. And it looks like we're running out of space, so I better die soon so I'm not buried in the street. It's such a pretty place, and I think it's a nice St. Louis place, which is kind of why it was really on my mind. We're headed to a Pershing place, which is where I grew up, which is a place called the Central West End. My dad had something where he's like, I want to live in the city, I want my kids to grow up in the city, and plainly he's like, I just don't want to raise a bunch of It's kind of, I think, what he was getting at. So when we were going to college, my dad made us all put Pershing Avenue.
Oh, jeez.
Because he's like, Pershing Place sounds more affluent, and Pershing Avenue kind of sounds like maybe we'll get some financial aid. I was like, yeah, that's how they do it. So moved here in 1977.
You were 2 months old.
Yeah, and lived here till like, I guess 1996 or something like that. But yeah, it's a neat old house, 1896, but it looks very different than it did when we lived here.
So where are we?
American Piping Products, formerly American Piping Products. We're west of St. Louis, about 30 minutes west of St. Louis, and this is where Lee and I, he'd been in the steel industry for years, but this is where I started in the steel industry. I remember when I met Lee, I was like, I like him, because it was a wild bunch. I remember the first time I went to the bathroom in this building, came in, he flipped the lights off and goes, party time. You know, and I was just like, really? And 10 minutes later, I get chewed out for sitting in my seat wrong, for real. I really knew nothing. And then every day was drinking out of a fire hose in some way. Like you were learning how to buy something, or the truck just rolled over, or it was just constant. Every single day was a straight up emergency. Yeah. And there weren't that many of us. We kind of called it like buds, like Navy SEAL buds for business. Once you've worked here and you get hired somewhere else, you can fire a whole department when we walk in the room. Because that's how productive you become. Like you see Kelsey, like she's a human cyborg. Like she could do so much stuff. So the learning was immense. But I was starting at zero, so it was an appreciable incline.
So when did you start WashU in your APP?
I've been at APP for 3 years.
Okay.
And then I decided to go to business school. And then about a week after I started that, I got promoted to COO. And
started business school and then got the promotion?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I wonder what would happen if I hadn't gone to business school. So this is the classroom where I sat. In hindsight, Lee kind of realized this was the incubator for a lot of thought for what later became Bryzos. I couldn't do it at home because now we have a kid, and it's just changes everything. So I used to sit here because I wasn't particularly interested in what they were saying. And it was just kind of like work on concepts of how do you get someone to buy something online? How do you create a system? And started thinking about, well, what cues can we be looking for at work that signals that people are going to embrace this? So there were two things that were really stark that occurred during lunch, which was 12 to 1, I mean sharp. I said, I don't care if you go murder somebody between 12 and 1, you better be here at 1. So half the office would all go down to the break room or the kitchen and play hearts and bullshit for an hour. But all of a sudden, the band broke up and people were sitting at their desks, scrolling through their feed. And then the second one was the first time I saw someone like basically text a purchase order to somebody instead of using a phone or an email. And someone was like, how much is 100 feet of, this, that, or the other? And he quoted him. And the guy was like, great, I'll send you a PO when I get back to the office. And I was like,
Yeah. We're at Peacock. This is where headquarters were for 2 years-ish.
But it looks like we're in a condo.
Yeah, it is a condo. We were in a big high-rise for a while, and the more we thought about it, we really didn't need some big lavish office or anything. We just needed something that had some space, so it just kind of fit the bill.
Let's take a look.
Oh, quick draw McGraw. PK and I have been together since day one of Bryzos. He's the head of software development, engineering, makes the wheel go round. He's in town in St. Louis, and yeah, he's got a whole team back in India.
Okay, it doesn't look like an office. Explain us what it was like when you guys came here.
Yeah, so this looks a lot different than it was. Essentially, this whole room was just kind of a big, almost think of it like as a conference table. Had it set up where we all worked and brainstormed and wrote things on the whiteboard, kind of walked through different ideas, and had a desk in here that is now like the dining room. And then the 2 bedrooms, we had those set up for offices as well. Pretty lackluster, but you know, it worked.
Yeah. What you need to see is that there's a giant mirror right here. Like, it's not standard office wear.
What's that about?
The perfect temperature for an office is not yet solved. So Kelsey sat here and is just getting showered by this vent with freezing air. And so I created this diverter with an Amazon box that just shot the air down there. Yeah, Amazon really does it all.
I was a big fan. I don't have to check in. I don't have to go up an elevator.
Yeah.
People can come visit you. They don't have to get security checked.
Right.
To say hello.
All that's true.
So,
That's right.
I see even the bathroom had some motivational.
Yeah, so we thought that maybe putting some inspirational imagery around and making it a little bit more omnipresent, you just start to take it on. I mean, it just kind of became part of us to a degree, which is like, we're gonna do this.
So this is literally a home office.
We're going to where Sarah and I live, which is our house, if anyone wants to swing by.
We'll put the address in the description.
Yeah, please do. So when I resigned from American Piping on let's say on a Friday, the next Monday I was in this basement and probably met PK a week later and just down there working away. We were in the basement until at the end of 20, we moved.
Yeah. So this would be my path every day. I'd walk in. It was great when it was raining really hard. This is where I'd walk up and Wally would, well, here comes Finn, yeah. She's the nice one. But Wally would come up and just stare at me like, I dare you to open the gate. Go ahead.
The humble beginnings.
Sarah, did you have any feelings?
I was excited when they moved out of the basement. I'm so glad it started there, but then it was time for that to end.
To her credit, she never said it's time to go. Not once.
I don't think I did.
She didn't. She's been amazing in a million different ways.
But when they said they were going, I was like, oh, I'll help you move.
So how do you find Lee again?
Well, I reached out to Lee without any greater plan, actually. So I showed him these different versions and said, guys, we kind of put this through its paces, and they gave feedback.
The more he explained everything, and I just learned more about what he had built and just kind of the plans of everything, I don't know, I kind of thought like, if I look back on this and, you know, one day it's just something huge, you know, I'll be extremely disappointed that I didn't take that shot. So it's kind of like, hey, let's give it a shot.
Did you know where you were going to work?
Well, I think once we got like closer and having some of those conversations, I came here, and I was like, what the fuck? I don't know, man. You know, it's like, oh,
really? Here?
Well, I mean, I went from like a corporate, definitely different, something I had not experienced being a part of a startup ever. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a real cobweb right there.
What's up, buddy?
Early days when it was PK and me just like got a perfectly good job, I just left, and kind of those moments of doubt or whatever, and you hear like little footsteps upstairs. It's like all the motivation you need to like, you just keep going. You just keep going. And it just kind of reminds you of your conviction. I remember thinking, I feel like Atlas down here, like holding all of this.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, okay, this is real. I can't fuck this up.
Nice ball, Lee.
Just get organized and make sure your company's set up correctly, and I'm really glad I did. It's really enriched my life in a lot of ways.
Where'd that come from?
It's always been there. You just haven't seen it. As awesome as New York is, something to be said for being in good old Missouri. Historically, the problem has been characterized as the metals industry is fragmented, antiquated, and opaque. That's the problem. Like, oh my God, they don't adopt technology. But when you're in the industry looking out, that's not the problem. That's a great benefit. If you're a seller, you want people calling to find out what something costs. And because most companies in the supply chain are really sales-oriented businesses, they haven't really had much of an incentive to create a way to make it easier for people to not call them to make a sale.
Industries that have been around like this for so long, they don't want to change. Even when people do want to change them, there's always resistance. Despite how poorly things are designed and despite how difficult they are, love to stick to the routine and like stick to what they know.
We knew we were up against a lot of old habits, so it'd be as fast as a text message, as simple as an industry that still uses fax machines and snail mail. It's a pretty antiquated industry as a whole.
A steel salesperson, they could live in, anywhere and be an important member of a larger team that is making this market work. But they're only going to do that if the tools are there and, the experience is worth having.
If you could just imagine the most absurdly perfect experience, and you just know the schedule, you know what's available, you know the price, you just get to scroll and pick. That would be the ultimate buyer experience. And I think between Expedia and Uber, it really started to form like a vision of you could do this with steel.
Just take all of the headache out. It's like I wanted to create a platform that kind of was like, I need a break. I'm gonna go use Bryzos for a bit because it's that enjoyable.
The steel industry is not very digital, and here is a great opportunity to actually redefine users' experience. Instead of having an RFQ or a listing, a buyer can come and say that I want to buy this, and he gets a price.
The steel industry, pricing is very opaque. I just think this was something so new for buyers to be able to kind of have that transparency.
After they get a price, they can just check out. So essentially like a gone in 60 seconds. You can buy your things in 60 seconds.
Just trying to make both sides be as frictionless as possible. A lot of times, marketplaces really get fixated on buyers. I come from a sales background, so I know the struggles that sales reps go through as far as the amount of time you spend quoting and not hearing any feedback, not knowing what happened to the deal. So that's when I kind of brought up the idea, like, what if we could do the same thing for sellers and they didn't have to quote? A salesperson's dream is a customer comes to you and says, hey, I have an order, can you meet this price? It's the greatest thing because you're like, this is so quick and to the point.
You don't want just building block. You want to change the industry and build something what was never done before, even in other industries. This was, I was like, why nobody else is doing this type of approach? Why everybody's trying to just follow the safe route of copying businesses instead of like giving actually creativity.
When you look at our user interface, it's remarkably unremarkable on purpose, meaning it's so stripped down to just what you need. And being someone who lived in ERP systems and did integrations and like, you need a break. You just need something that's exactly as complex as it needs to be.
It's very user-friendly, so we don't get a lot of app navigation questions. It's as easy as doing, all the other stuff that you do on your phone. Just gonna make your work life a whole lot easier.
So keep it there. How do I know all this stuff? Because I was part of building it. Sometimes I wish I didn't know all these things.
It is an 8 to 5 industry, period. Like if you want to get something bought, it's 8 to 5 that day. And you look up, it's like 4:30 and you're like, oh gosh, I still got to get all this bought. because the sales guy needs us to ship tomorrow. So we now have people buying and selling on the weekends, which was never a thing. Which is really cool to be like, you buy or sell on your time.
These boxes kind of roll out.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me think of like TurboTax, like simple
Yeah.
screens, simple prompts, kind of click through quickly.
Yeah. I think you guys are really onto something, like something pretty incredible actually. I can jump online and buy steel in the middle of the night as I'm bidding a job at 2 a.m. because that's how I operate. Like, how did it take this long for somebody to come up with this? As far as I know, there's not another current online instant pricing marketplace where you can just get on there and type the piece and part that you need and have a good current market price that you could actually buy it off of. How does this? Of course, no, we need this.
Look, he just starts typing in what he wants, gives him the options, and now he can buy that at that price.
Now give me
That usually takes a morning.
I think about the people who use this, about those jobs that will change when Bryzos is around, and how much better those experiences can be.
This is for vendor chat. We're going to introduce letting them talk to each other, again, to kind of cut us out of the mix as far as handling things that they can handle amongst themselves.
The industry is evolving because of the changes. What is important is how you feel after using that digital experience. If you feel that you want to come back, if you feel that confidence or whatever positive feeling you have, then of course your job is successful.
I think if you're overall having a pleasant experience and it saved you an enormous amount of time for you to do other things with your workday, I think it ultimately solves a lot of problems for people.
I'm shocked at how well you guys work together at being siblings. Yeah, if I was just thinking, like, if my brother and her were right now, we would be like,
depends on the sibling.
shut the f*** up, dude. Nobody's asking you, right? Like,
It depends on the sibling.
everything comes full circle in life, right? I learned to weld when I was 10 years old. Now steel work is 95% of what we do.
Hey, good to see you, yeah.
I was shocked when we met you guys at PepTech. We left the trade show that night. We went back to the hotel. We both went and got online and we're checking it out before we went and ate dinner. And we're sitting eating dinner and a couple of nerds geeking out about Bryzos. So we're like, dude, this is so awesome, you know? I'm a huge believer in this and I have been ever since I first saw it. My big question at this point is what kind of investor packages you have put together?
Good morning. We primarily focus on vehicle-based storage systems for the outdoor community. So yeah, crush it.
Yeah.
So all of our products we fabricate in-house. That's where we come into all this is we're using a lot of aluminum and a little bit of steel.
You guys did good.
Yeah. That's a good picture.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
I'm an account representative for inside sales.
What's up, Davis?
Good. I'm reaching out to customers, handling the orders with them, facilitating the business.
It's a death by a million cuts. It's 1,000 phone calls a day, and they're all 45 seconds long, you know? So you're like, nope, never mind.
I was getting very confused.
I just respond to job, Dave, David, Jeffrey.
We're sales operations specialists. We're kind of the intermediary between sales and ops. We pretty much get material from point A to point B for everyday orders for our sales reps.
Are those chef's guitars?
They are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you guys can jam for a little bit.
A young man metabolism, just eat 5 plates and just be fine. He lost weight doing that. I'm a sales operations specialist as well, and everything that Bryzos is doing definitely makes our lives a lot easier.
Y'all are never late on my orders.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. Say that louder.
Say that one more time.
Milk Inside is a digital products and services design company.
Oh, this is wild.
We're trying to tell a product story or a purchase story or, in the case of Bryzos here, it's a gone in 60-second story. And we get to do that with a set of art and digital tools for all sorts of folks. This is our first foray into the steel industry, I'll say that.
I finally got coffee and now I'm feeling a little bit wired.
She's been flexing ever since.
Well, the first I heard was that it had to do with the steel industry. I thought, ugh. But it really is about user experience in the end and good design.
I did not know his love for Papa John's until I started working at Bryzos. And I thought Shep was f***ing with me. I was like, no, he literally meal preps with pizza every week.
Don't even call that meal prepping.
So
it's just buying a pizza.
I want to do business where design was never exist. So that's why I was thrilled by your idea, because people never gonna think that it's possible.
How was the trip in?
The most terrible flight of my entire life. I was thinking about flying my plane, but then there was no planes available. I'm a pilot, so. But it will take
kind of a long
around
way.
8 hours.
Yeah.
I was not thinking that it's even possible to have such a small seat. Like, how even like people like they just.
Bryzos, it's helped me see design in places where I wouldn't normally look.
What if the opening scene was the garage opening?
If it was like this animation that pops up here.
You need a page that looks like, you know,
That
what
level.
you are. What you are.
You're the designer.
Why I was intrigued by you guys as a business and why I pushed for us to do your work is that you were both deeply knowledgeable about the industry and had invested enough time and energy to be removed enough from it to understand what you had to do differently. It takes a lot more intricate knowledge of the transaction space to be smart about creating Gone in 60 Seconds, to create this Bryzos idea, and the attention to the personalities as well as the product details as well as the process is what sets you apart from earlier attempts in these types of industries.
Done and dusted.
I think there's a certain charm to the steel industry as a whole. Being able to just, be an outside rep and go to your customers' work, just walk in, have a casual conversation, build relationships, where you get like tech companies on my phone. It's not very interpersonal. It's just straight to business. So it has a little bit of a charm.
They always say the steel industry is funny, and once you're in it, you're in it. Probably the biggest struggle in this industry is, when to buy and when not to buy, when to buy extra, when to slow down your buys. Because, it's a commodity. And where I'm at on the food chain is I'm subject to the mill that's producing the steel, whatever their price is today. So that's the difficult part, and it's a very, very, very capital intense business because, you're sitting on millions and millions and millions of dollars of inventory. And if the price goes down, you just lost value.
We try and stay ahead on our product and keep it in stock. That being said, it's certainly a challenge, just as, metal is hard to find potentially, or as just our product spikes in sales. There's always that kind of game we're playing of chasing that, but we're trying to keep metal on hand so that we can cut ahead and keep our product on the shelf.
Definitely getting the material out the door. It takes a little while. The order entered, hold, go through processing, and get put on a truck, get out. At every stage, it can fail.
When you get down to the level of steel that is actually utilized in construction and making goods, information flows are painfully slow.
It's a very blue-collared environment and white-collared work, if that makes sense.
I think that the younger generation doesn't like to talk on the phone.
Yeah, it's like we grew up with TikTok or social media where it's information overload, like everything's very fast and quick. And that's how we want to do business, just fast and quick and get out of there and move on to the next thing.
Whereas the older generation is just I'll only trust them once I get to shake their hand and talk to them for 3 hours about football. And the younger generation, I feel like, is just going to get past that, and they're just going to be like, listen, I trust results. If I put this through and it gets here for a very reasonable price, let's just, pull the trigger on it right now.
I think generally speaking, fabricators and welders, or at least the kind that I've got in my shop, tend to be very rooted in what, this is not how I know how to do it, that's how we're going to keep doing it. I remember, as a matter of fact, 3 years ago when we really went heavy into steel and started making this our main thing, we started coming up with this issue. It'd be like a Saturday, somebody's asking me for pricing they want it by the end of the day, and I'm like, I need it. How can I not get online and just find pricing for steel? This is ridiculous, right? Nothing against the tried and traditional way of having somebody on the phone that you got a relationship with and calling them up and giving them your list or emailing it to them. But a lot of times, just given the nature of how business is, I've got my hands on 10 different things, and it's gonna be a day before I need this information, and they need 2 days to bid it out to me, and I'm gonna send it in and be like, please, would you please stay up all night and work on this price? I need it by 8 in the morning so I can have my bid in by noon, right? And they're like, oh, you again, And it's just that dreaded phone call of I know, I'm so sorry I did this to you. Versus, oh, I could just do all this myself right here, right now.
They can be jobs where you're doing things and feeling accomplished and have tools that help you do things and you can do more.
With our generation, we're more like, more technology to make my life easier. Hell yeah, why wouldn't I want that, you know? And I think that's a big portion of why Bryzos is so huge and it's got so much potential, is because it's looking at the workforce of, you know, 10, 20 years and not the workforce of 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think especially with younger people like me, like having something more modernized also gives it a bit more credibility in my eyes. If I see something that's like up to date, you know, looks very sleek, clean, compared to something that looks very clunky and old, like, I'm gonna trust the new thing more.
Again, a lot of our team is young and we're always trying to push for new technology and new advancements and always trying to stay kind of on that cutting edge of things. And really, that's the core of what Bryzos is it's a new technology and it's a new way to do something. So we love that and we really resonate with that.
This isn't just about making people's work lives easier. It saves them time, it makes them less stressed. They're seeing improvement in their career and job and even home life.
When I see it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and I'm at one of the kids' sporting events or this or that, and I see an order pop up on the phone, I mean, I've literally been sitting at a restaurant at dinner and taking orders. Where else can you do that? That's something that I just think is really, you know, a brand new thing to our industry.
Bryzos will be the market maker for the steel industry because an efficient market has a market maker, right? They're collecting all the data, they're buffering transactions, they're making sales and needs match. And that is a vital function in any marketplace.
My dogs would rip the shit out of this.
It's like the new stress ball.
And by stress ball, you mean that you
Annoying
stress everybody else out.
This industry may have been a little bit behind, but I definitely think people are starting to get a better understanding of technology as a whole and starting to move that direction.
People that are in the industry were interested in hearing, how can you help me make more money? How can you help me capitalize on our inventory investment? How can you help me turn more inventory, maximize my time? How can you get me pricing and availability right now?
As people retire who have no desire to use something like this, they're like, I'm certainly not going to change the way I've been doing this for 50 years. You have younger people come up in the industry, all they know is technology, and they could leave their office and buy 10 things on Amazon before they even get to their car in the parking lot. So if you can match that experience for them, that's the way the world's just moving.
I understand there's a way to do something, but it's causing you a lot of stress. I understand it's not broken and you can get it to work, but this takes 60 seconds or less.
It's like a paradigm shift. We have found that product market fit. From an engineering perspective, we can now understand what is the need of Bryzos users and anticipating a few things.
We're always looking for, buyer behaviors, patterns, adoption, scalability, repeat usage, things that give us clues or insight into, are we going down the right path or not? And with our new model, I would still say we're learning every day.
We're always looking for new ways to just make it easier. Everything is more technology focused. Everything's sort of making that turn. You kind of have to keep up. So I think using Bryzos, there's not a whole lot of training that goes into it because it's so simple to use.
I watched some video last night. Watching myself eat was really painful. Yeah.
It's a lot of money and a lot of material that a lot of trust goes into moving all this stuff all over the world. So I think there's always going to be an element of humanity in it, but with just the way the world is working and how fast everything is, the access to technology, it's gotta get adopted. It just has to.
B2B marketplace. Shawshank Redemption, Chicago.
Really, the top of the mountain is to have Nick Cage walk through the door.
Yeah.
You know, and I love this. She's got like 20 iPhones.
We started building a product, just all the things we've learned and our industry experience. We created a product that had all the elements of the ideal procurement experience, and this one just kind of took off. And once people had it under their belt and they used it, they got the trust issue out of the first buy, and they placed their order and the material showed up. They were really pretty hooked.
We've taken this enormously complex thing and we put it in the palm of your hand. I would say, yeah, personal connection is really very much part of the future of digital. That's our intent. You know, we're a trusted entity and everybody has this thing in common, which is they all work in metals all day long. And is there an opportunity to further bring this group together and get kind of this thing bubbling a little bit as far as the community? I've been around the offices where people sit and chat a lot, and so it's a social bunch.
Rice baked potatoes, sweet potatoes, fries.
We're having like a Forrest Gump moment here. Sweet shrimp, deep fried shrimp.
Yeah.
This Bryzos team, we're in the industry for a long time. We've had enough time to kind of get away from the industry and really look at it. My vision for Bryzos has really remained unchanged since the beginning, which is the most frictionless, enjoyable buying and selling experience possible. Buyers literally have no reason on this planet not to be using it. And it's seller approved.
So what is the 60? There's significance.
Gone in 60 seconds.
It's just the name of the app.
Yeah, what you can do with this. Buying or selling in 60 seconds.
Sure.
So then we went with the whole movie car theme.
I've been meaning to ask about it all day. I've
Yeah.
been staring at it all day.
We have it trademarked.
Really?
The movie wasn't using it anymore, so now it's ours.
What?
Yeah, we have it. We literally trademarked it.